Numbers don't lie, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, numbers don't lie. I got this you can't buy. Numbers don't lie, numbers don't lie.
Matt's gang, we in here. Welcome to episode 1 of the Crimson Mass Show, and we call this Gold Edition. Gold because it's for AEW. And what we're going to do here, we're going to talk about the shows for the week, primarily AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision. Listen. I'm not hating on AEW Rampage. I did watch AEW Rampage, and on this show we don't critique the wrestling matches. We might talk about a wrestling match if the wrestling match was awesome or whatever, but for the most part on this show we focus on the stories that are on each individual wrestling show and how they're progressed in that show. So Rampage really didn't have anything this week. There were some decent matches on Rampage, but from a storyline perspective, there was nothing that really occurred on Rampage worth talking about. And we only talk about the major storylines here. Speaking of major storylines, let's talk about the way AEW Dynamite opened up this week with Will Ospreay going to the ring and doing his best. Cut a great promo on MJF. Now, if you watched Elite Mid Trash and you read the little text box I posted a couple days ago for Dynamite, you would see that I, for one, don't think Will Ospreay is a great promo. I think he's okay. But he's not going to set the world on fire with his promos. The guy he was cutting a promo on, that's a different kind of beast, man. MJF has one of the best promos in the business of wrestling as a whole. So you're putting Will Ospreay on the mic and have him talking about MJF. And I don't know if MJF held back or what, but MJF definitely could have eviscerated Will Ospreay more so than he had done on Dynamite this past week. I feel like, for the most part, MJF kind of took it easy on Will Ospreay. He could have torn into him. He could have said, some scathing things and some disrespectful things. You guys know how MJF is. You guys know how he is. He will tear into you if you give him the chance. Will Ospreay, he went to the ring. He basically said he doesn't necessarily respect MJF. He was talking about how how disrespectful MJF did Daniel Garcia. He did him dirty, man. He did him real dirty. But Daniel Garcia should have seen it coming. We're talking about MJF here. And, after Will Ospreay cut his promo, MJF got on the screen. He said he's not showing up. I can't remember where they were. I want to say that they were in Canada. They were in Canada somewhere. But he said he's not showing up. He talked shit about the town, this, that, and the third. But for the most part, I feel like for this week, I feel like that they didn't really do too much in the promo department. It was okay. Can't hate on it too much, but I feel like they didn't do the best they could as far as like cutting the promo, which is weird because MJF was involved, but that's what it was. And there really isn't much more to say about it. These two are going to go head to head at All In at Wembley Stadium, and they're probably going to tear the house down. As for who do I think is going to win that match, that is a tough one because MJF, for the lack of a better word, is the face of AEW. But Will Ospreay is the biggest face on AEW. And right now he's on fire. So even though he couldn't beat Swerve Strickland, but he's on fire. And we're going to see what's going to happen at Wembley. But if I had to pick, I would pick MJF because he's returning. It's going to be his first marquee match back. And I think that he's going to put on the show. He's going to do his damn thing. I want to take a second to talk about Hangman Page. Okay, you know, him and Bryan Danielson, they had a great match. It was a physical match. Bryan Danielson ended up winning the Owen Hart Cup. He's going to face Swerve Strickland at Wembley Stadium. Okay, we get all that. I want to talk about Hangman Page. Now, the story of Hangman Page and AEW is kind of weird. When they first started AEW, I felt like out of all the members of the Elite, due to age, mostly age, look, I felt like Hangman Adam Page, I felt like he had the biggest ceiling of every member of the Elite. The biggest ceiling. Let's get some more light in here. Let's get a little bit more light in here. It's straight dark. Okay. I don't know how good that is. But I felt like he had the highest ceiling. And because of that high ceiling, they ended up putting the strap on Hangman Page. They ended up putting the strap on him. I don't think that was a good idea because as much potential as Hangman Page had, he was lacking in the promo department. I can't tell you one promo that Hangman Page cut where I walked away feeling like he's championship material. And that's big on me. And I know every wrestling fan is different. Me, personally, you only go as far as how good you are on the microphone. Hangman Page isn't very good on the microphone. And I guess that's why there's a lot of disconnect between the WWE and AEW fans, because in AEW, how good you are in the ring is king. That determines how you're viewed by the AEW audience. I don't look at it like that. And I don't know if that's because I've been watching WWE my whole life or what. But to me, for you to be considered amongst the upper echelon of professional wrestling, you have to be able to be good on the microphone. That's why I'm so high on MJF. And now MJF is getting to where his in-ring skills are catching up with his mic skills. And that's why, man, he's one of the top future GOATs in this business, man. But back to Hangman Page. He didn't do good as a champion. And the thing with CM Punk calling him, what did he call him? A dumb-headed fuck or something like that. That only served to set Hangman Page back. Because his trajectory, at the very least, we could say, okay, he wasn't a good champion, but his trajectory was steady. But after the thing with CM Punk, his trajectory started to nosedive. You know, it started to seem like he was a jag. He was just another guy. So he went away. A few weeks ago, he shows back up. And the only issue I had with him showing back up is that he changed his entrance music, because if there was one thing that I always liked about Hangman Page was his entrance music. And it's not like his entrance music was like face entrance music and now he's a heel, so he has to have heel entrance music. I feel like his old entrance music could work as a face or a heel. But he came back, new entrance music, tough as shit. I used to talk to Petey. I talk to Petey Stunt all the time, and I remember a prior conversation I had with Petey Stunt. And I was telling Petey Stunt that they should book Hangman Page as if he was a member of the APA. What do I mean by that? I think that this is how I would book Hangman Page. You guys know that I think I'm the booker of the year. I'm the booker of the year, the uncrowned king of booking. That's who I think I am. Hangman Page should have been booked like he was a member of the APA. Here's what I mean. You're gonna have backstage segments with Hangman Page. He's sitting at a table, he's playing poker, he's drinking a beer, he's smoking a cigar. Now, I'm not saying that he should enter the protection services of protecting other wrestlers, but I'm saying, like, for the most part, you should always catch Hangman Page backstage, smoking a cigar, drinking a beer, playing cards, shooting dice, whatever. Just tough guy shit. I don't know if it's cowboy shit, but it's tough guy shit. And you could always have some shit like, oh, you made me spill my drink. Let me see your ass in the ring. Now we gonna fight. I mean, his offensive style in the ring is very physical. Even more so now that he's returned. His heel version of himself is a little more physical than the face. But I feel like he should have always been booked like a backstage badass. Like, I'm smoking a cigar. I'm drinking a stiff drink. I'm playing cards. I'm talking shit. That's how, and you could call that cowboy shit. Like, I feel like he hasn't been very much of a cowboy. Maybe a ranch hand or some shit like that, whatever that is. But I don't see him. I didn't see prior to his return. I didn't see him spitting out tobacco, being tough and shit like that. Now, he's starting to seem like a badass cowboy. I'm talking about Tombstone, badass cowboy. All he needs now is to go back to putting a little bandana on his face. Like, hell, if he wanted to dye his hair black, I wouldn't be mad at it. He's a black hat now. He was a white hat before. When he was shaking hands and kissing babies. But now, this is black hat Hangman Page. So you got to be a badass, man. You got to really be on some tough guy shit. I don't want to see no more shiny ring gear, shiny cowboy inspired ring gear. Now you wear all black. And damn it, if you want to dye your hair black, I'm telling you, that's how I will book Hangman Page. I will have him dye his hair black, stop wearing shiny shit to the ring, just wear straight black like a fucking cowboy villain. I would go back to his old entrance music, but I guess that's more of it's not a necessity, but it's something that I think will work. Go back to his old music, show him backstage, drinking, smoking, playing cards, kicking ass, being disrespectful. After doing that, he's going to end up turning face again because of that, but that's besides the point. And that's what I have him do. I'll have him be physical as fuck, talking shit. They got the character kind of right now with him being a heel, but you could do so much more with Hangman Page and cash in on that potential that most of us seen in him when All Elite Wrestling started. Mercedes Mone and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, they both firecrackers, man. They both firecrackers. They are in a contest where they're seeing who could sound more angry and disgusted when calling each other bitch. And more than anything, I'm excited to see them fight. I like the way this is being booked. I'm sure there's somebody out there who find something to complain about as far as like this or that. They're taking turns doing little celebrations and stuff like that, or Mercedes is doing a celebration every week and interrupting Britt, all kinds of shit. You could do all that, but I just like this feud being based on two women a woman who made the name for herself outside of AEW against one of AEW's homegrown talent, even though she did wrestle in WWE before she went to AEW. It's jobbing. But a homegrown AEW talent who was away for a long time. She comes back. She finds out that there's somebody from outside of the company basically who's trying to take her spot. And that's top of the women's division in AEW. I like the story, man. I like the story. But once again, their story is so good that I don't think people are really thinking about how awesome the actual match is going to be. I'm ready to see it. I'm ready for it. I love both of their characters. I've always loved Mercedes Mone, Sasha Banks, whatever we're calling her. I've always been a fan. I know that there's this whole thing where there's a segment of people who really don't fuck with Mercedes Mone. I'm telling you, I'm not one of them. I'm also not one of the people who doesn't like Britt Baker. I love Britt Baker. I'm disgusted that Britt Baker isn't already the winningest female in the company in AEW. I think that she should have experienced way more success than she has. As great as Toni Storm is, I think Britt Baker is that much greater. I feel like Britt Baker should have been booked like the Charlotte Flair of AEW. And I hope that's the direction they're going with her feuding with Mercedes Mone. These need to be the two top women in your company. Mercedes Mone, Britt Baker should be at the top. Yeah, well, you always have a Toni Storm or Mariah May or, one of those girls, but those two, they have transcendent talent that goes beyond the wrestling ring, and I think they need to tap into that. Britt Baker is way more, I won't say talented, but I will say there's more room for growth in other forms of media and just the company itself than her significant other, Adam Cole. I think the sky's the limit for her. Mercedes has already reached the sky. It's with her, it's going to be a matter, can she stay there? I've always had concerns about Mercedes' ability to stay healthy. She's kind of like the female CM Punk in the sense that she's always getting hurt. Because for one, and I said this years ago, for one, Mercedes wrestles in the style, her in-ring style and her size, her frame don't go together. And I'm not surprised that she's been hurt so many times. Is because the way she wrestles and her frame would lead to her getting injured. But yeah, I'm excited for that feud. I can't wait for it. I hope they add some type of stipulation to the match. I mean, I think it would be pretty dope if they have a submission match. I think that would be cool because they have two of the better finishers in women's wrestling, and I want to see that on a big stage. So I'm actually going to order an AEW pay-per-view. I vowed not to do it because I said they need to come up with some type of streaming service or something, or get on some type of streaming services to show their content, but I'm going to order it, and one of the reasons I'm going to is so I can see these two women wrestle. Both of them are amazing. Now we're going to talk about the biggest thing that occurred in AEW this week. We are going to talk about the way Mariah May turned on Toni Storm. I have never, and I can't emphasize this enough. In my, how many years has it been now? 30? In my 30 years, in my 30 years of watching professional wrestling, I have never seen a woman put a beating on another woman the way Mariah May put a beating on Toni Storm. I have never seen a woman bleed that much in wrestling. They weren't even in the ring in wrestling. Mariah May, let me walk you through the whole steps, man. I'm going to trust that everybody has the context of why this is so disrespectful. The closeness of Mariah May and Toni Storm. Mariah May not even want to knowing who to side with between one of her closest friends from Japan and Toni Storm when those two are about to go at it. And I ain't say her name because I ain't want to butcher her name. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Mariah May, Toni Storm celebrated Mariah May's win, even though Toni Storm was going to have to defend her title against Mariah May. She celebrated with her. She was almost more happy for Mariah May's win than Mariah May was. They go up the ramp. Mariah May grabs the title she had just won from the Owen Hart Cup, and she just absolutely lays the title into the skull of Toni Storm. Into her skull, lays her out. Then she knocks Luther off of the stage through a table. He did a fucking frontwards flip. It looked like an action scene from an action movie. If you photoshopped the fucking explosion into the background, he would have looked like the explosion threw him off of the ramp. Then Mariah May takes the title and starts to whip the shit out of Toni Storm as she laid there. Then I can't remember if, at that point, if that's when Aubrey Edwards came out and got pushed by Mariah May. She was fucking everybody up who tried to get in the way. Then Mariah May takes the shoe that Toni Storm talks so glowingly about. She takes the shoe and she beats the living shit out of Toni Storm with the fucking shoe. Then as Toni Storm sat there bleeding like a pig, looking pathetic, Mariah May gives her a little kiss, because they've been kissing for weeks. She gives her a little kiss, looks up, face covered in blood. Fucking sick, fucking sinister. In fact, the crowd was yelling, "You sick fuck." And I think Mariah May has just become one of my favorite women's wrestlers in the business today. She's become one of my favorites. I've never seen that level of physicality between women as far as a backstage, out of the ring, beat down, or in the ring. I've never seen this. That shit Britt Baker did, like when she was bleeding, that was nothing compared to this, because that was incidental. This was intentional. Mariah May destroyed Toni Storm, and I've never seen a woman destroy another woman like that. And they need to do the right thing in AEW and follow this up with Mariah May taking away the women's title at Wembley. They need to do that. Do not have this be a hero coming back, a hero saved the day, none of that shit. The minute Mariah May created that scene with Toni Storm, it should have been decided right then and there that she's going to be your next women's champion. AEW, Toni, do the right thing. AEW Collision. Now, I'll tell you this. This is the first time we're doing this here, because it's the first episode of the Crimson Mass Show Gold Edition. And I noticed that storyline wise, you don't really get much on the other shows. Like I said, I would have loved to have done Rampage right here, but we're going to skip over Rampage and go straight to Collision, because at least Collision had a couple of story-driven things going on. The first thing I'm going to talk about the Dynamite Kid, or the nephew of the Dynamite Kid, whatever. I think his last name is Billingsley or something like that. You guys know I'm not the king of research, but I'll go back and look at it. First thing I want to say is he's fucking impressive. He looks like the Dynamite Kid, and he's fucking impressive. He's really impressive. They need to make sure they don't let this one fall through the cracks. AEW is really good at letting talent fall through the cracks. I can name names, but I'm not going to get into all that. But he's impressive. They said he was 23 years old. And I think he has a bright future if they can book him correctly. I don't want to be the guy that says he would have been better in WWE. I don't want to say that. But, man, I wish they could have put that kid with William Regal or something. And on top of that, I understand that the Owen Hart Invitational and everything, I understand that just happened in AEW, but the legacy, the history of the Hart Foundation is still in WWE. You still have Natalya in WWE. Bret Hart is basically what? He's like an ambassador or some shit for WWE. He's not involved in AEW, not anymore. So, but that doesn't matter. As long as they book him correctly in AEW, it doesn't matter. Don Callis tried to recruit him. It was honestly part of me that was hoping that he accepted Don Callis' invitation into the Don Callis family, because I feel like that would have given him the little nudge he needed. But now he's probably just going to be another guy that gets thrown into a random tag match and beat down by the Don Callis family. He got beat down on Collision, but he put on the damn show. And now Dave may be interested in another one of their talents. I just hope that they don't follow it up with dropping the ball with them like they've done for so many. The last thing I'm going to talk about as far as the AEW shows is the stupidity of Christopher Daniels stripping Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Gang, of the Trios titles. That was so fucking stupid, bro. Like, I can't emphasize enough. It doesn't fucking matter if Jay White can't defend the titles. They can use the Freebird rule, and they're probably say, oh, they don't use the Freebird rule in AEW, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't matter. If this is the fucking New Day and Kofi Kingston gets injured, I know this isn't WWE, this is AEW, but let's just bear with me. Kofi Kingston gets injured. Okay, Big E, when healthy, and Xavier Woods will defend the title. That's just how the shit goes. And I don't know. I think it's stupid stripping people of the titles. I hope that when they fight the patriarchy, they fucking win so they can keep their titles, because if they, that's stupid too, man. I just thought about that while I'm talking too. That's stupid too. They're stripping them of the titles, and you're gonna make them refight for the titles they shouldn't have been stripped of. Why? And if they win, that's even dumber, because why wouldn't you just have them defend the titles against the patriarchy and win? That's stupid, man. See, man, AEW, man, be doing some stupid shit. It wasn't even necessary for Christopher Daniels to strip Bang Bang Gang of the fucking Trios titles. It wasn't necessary. Okay, now fucking Juice Robinson is defending in Jay White's play. It doesn't fucking matter. Freebird rules. Everybody knows that. And this is the first time they've done it. I could have sworn that fucking when the House of Black had the the House of Black doesn't have a fourth member, so I was gonna make myself look fucking stupid. But either way it goes, they have 4 fucking members in their group. One of them got hurt. You bring in the other member. It's dumb. It's just unnecessary, and it makes it seem like they just wanted to screw the Bang Bang Gang over. Those fucking Trios titles are cursed. Everybody who wears them, they eventually stop being over. The fucking Acclaim, they were over. They had the titles, and look at them now. So, yeah, man, that shit was stupid. News and rumors from AEW. The first one we're going to look at is Here Comes the Money, Shane McMahon. Pump the brakes on that. I guess the money is not coming because apparently that is not true. Now, take it with a grain. It came from Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is the one who said, and he said it was based on what his people have told him. Matt Hardy is the one who said that Shane McMahon is not coming to AEW. I suppose that Matt Hardy could also be not telling the truth, so it can be a surprise when Shane shows up. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened there. I wouldn't even know what Shane McMahon would bring to AEW besides just somebody who has a good justification to trash the WWE all the time, and to just kind of just be a symbol of fuck Vince McMahon, fuck WWE. That's the only reason I think that AEW would hire Shane, is to put a middle finger up to WWE. But other than that, yeah. So a rumor came out earlier this week, and I made a video about it, so I'm not going to touch too much longer on it. The video will be in the tag above, and it's about Ricochet going to AEW. during NXT Heatwave, Ricochet had some comments about the women's match, and he compared it to he and Will Ospreay's matches because they did indeed use a sequence from the Will Ospreay Ricochet match. I said in the video earlier this week that Ricochet was reaching because there's no reason for him to compare the matches, and I was wrong about that. They did use a sequence from a Will Ospreay Ricochet match, and he said something about it. I think that he's going to go to AEW. We're going to see what's happening. I might not have watched Collision close enough because I swear that I don't think I've seen another vignette that people are thinking is Ricochet. The vignette that I said was stupid in the video earlier this week. It was stupid because it looked like fucking someone from Doctor Strange was jumping through a portal and then a luchador appeared. But I'm like, the person who jumped through the portal didn't look like Ricochet. So is Ricochet coming or is Ricochet not coming? And if it's not Ricochet, you're fucking up because people are certainly thinking that is Ricochet. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about that. I did talk about it earlier in the week in the video. So if you want more complete thoughts about that, just check out that video. And our last bit of news, I mean, I don't know if anyone cares, but CJ Perry, formerly known as Lana, is done with AEW. She is no longer with Miro, if I'm not mistaken, so I don't think that has anything to do with anything involving him. I'll be surprised if he's with the company much longer because I haven't seen him on TV. He came back for a cup of tea, then he was gone. I don't necessarily know what's going on with Miro. Maybe he's in the same vortex that Ricky Starks is in, and maybe they're both going to WWE. I don't know. But yeah, CJ Perry is done. I have no clue what she's going to do next. She certainly still has a lot of friends in WWE, but I don't know what role she will play there. They already replaced her with Maxine, so we don't need the beautiful blonde who doesn't know how to wrestle person in WWE anymore. But maybe she can go back and just be a straight up manager and not even entertain lacing up a pair of boots and wrestling again. We don't need to see it. We already got Maxine over there. And yeah. All right, so that's it for this episode, this first edition of the Crimson Mask Show Gold, episode 1. Sorry guys, it's so dark in here. It just started to get dark outside, but I guess this is where we fade to black. Mask Gang, we out of here.